Hey, there's three sides to every story. There's his side, there's the other guy's side, and the truth is probably somewhere in between.
I felt like Marilyn was nagging me about the microwave. But what if I just bought a microwave? Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm Brad Rhodes.
And I'm Marilyn Rhodes. We're here to help you build a marriage that's stronger, more connected, and full of grace.
I'm Rick Dayton, joining Brad and Marilyn as we bring you weekly conversations designed to inspire and equip you to live intentionally in your marriage.
We'll share practical tips, powerful stories, and strategies to help you and your spouse grow closer and thrive together.
So whether you're just starting out or have been married for years, there's always room to grow. Let's do this together. This is the Grace Marriage Podcast.
I think it was Kenny Loggins who once said, playing with the boys. It was in Top Gun. And that's what this episode of Grace Marriage is going to be all about. I'm Rick Dayton along with Brad Rhodes, and we're going to talk specifically to guys. How many times is it, though, that ladies are coming to you saying, I've got a problem, we've got a problem? How often is it that guys come and do that?
More often, the ladies feel they have a problem and the guys feel there's not a problem. That's not always the case, but more often than not, the man feels better about the marriage than his wife.
Is it because he's not paying attention to it the same way? I mean, you and Marilyn talked, I think it was the very first episode that we did. You didn't think there was a problem at all. You were working like crazy. I've lived in all different parts of the country. I was brand new in a TV job. I had 1,000 people that I was around. I was doing newscasts. I was reporting all things. I came home. I had a great day. My wife was at home with the kids by herself, didn't know a soul in town, and thought this isn't nearly as great as what you do. I mean, is that the same kind of thing?
Yeah, I thought we had a problem, but I thought the problem was her. You know, like if she was just not so needy and hypersensitive, sounds awful, but I really thought that things were fine if she would just accept it. And I've learned over time, when you don't listen to your wife's cries for more or cry for greater connect, it's really dangerous.
So when somebody comes to you and it's just one of the couples, is your response different than if both come together?
It is. Usually I have them both come in to talk to them because there's two sides to every story, and I feel like it's really difficult to counsel unless I hear in detail from both sides. And I like to watch them both share and watch the body language and reactions from both. But I do. It's interesting to see the different perspectives they have in marriage.
It's interesting because as a journalist, we always say there's three sides to every story. There's his side, there's the other guy's side, and the truth is probably somewhere in between.
Oh.
And the reality is that everybody colors their truth, or that they see it through the lenses of their own eyes or their own glasses, right?
For a long time ago, I met with them separately. I met with him and I met with her separately, but got the whole story. And I said, this can't be the case. It would be too big a coincidence for the two worst people in the entire world to actually marry.
To be married.
I said, this can't be true.
Yeah. So when you then sit down and as you begin, take us sort of through that process, and let's look at it from a man's perspective. We talked about playing with the boys, right? What is it? I mean, is it a matter of, she just feels like every time I ask him, he just doesn't do anything? Is it a matter of, I always feel like she's nagging at me, or she always feels that he's nagging at her to do something his way rather than the way she? What are those commonalities?
A couple of the commonalities are, one is non-responsiveness. It's like, I ask for something, he won't do it. What I want is not a priority. Another is I just don't feel connected to him. He really doesn't listen to me much. He really doesn't share much. I feel isolated from him emotionally. I feel like we're strangers in the same house. I feel like he doesn't want to connect with me. Another commonality is I feel like he's not into me anymore. He doesn't pursue me. He doesn't date me. He doesn't compliment me. So what happens is those commonalities create a feeling of isolation and loneliness in the wife. And because oftentimes the husband doesn't feel as isolated and lonely, he doesn't realize the critical spot he's often in.
So give me an idea of this non-responsiveness. You once told a story about a microwave at your house that I think is a great illustration. Share that.
Well, it was early in our marriage and our microwave broke. And Marilyn goes, would you get us another microwave? Well, literally, we went 3 months without a microwave. It took us 40 minutes to warm up leftovers.
Because you didn't have a microwave.
Yeah, we didn't have a microwave. I mean, literally, it was a 15-minute Walmart stop to pick it up. It's just I did not prioritize what she desired. And it made sense, but life just took over. I'm busy at work. I come home and I just wasn't being intentional. Now, it hurt both of us, but it didn't. Oftentimes, we don't make what our wife wants primary. One author that I really enjoy says one of the things he does in his marriage is whatever his wife wants immediately goes to the top of his list.
So if she says, hey, can you help me put down mulch this weekend? Saturday, you're going to be doing mulch if you follow what this guy is saying. What does that communicate? What does it say from him, and what does she hear?
It communicates you're important. It communicates you're important, and you're my most important relationship. So when I'm in the law and you're my client and you call me and I don't call you back for 2 weeks, what does it communicate to you?
I need a new lawyer.
And are you an important client to me?
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
You reach out to me. I don't reach back. I'm non-responsive to you. You're like, I want another lawyer. I want somebody that my case and I'm important to. And what happens in marriage, when you send the message that what you want is not important by putting things off, not doing. Now, I get it. It's easy to do. There's so much to do. It's so easy for your spouse's desires to get lost. So what I do is I make a list in the morning. I ask Mary, what are the top 2 things you want me to do for you today? Usually they don't take more than 20 minutes. And I do them each day. And then she feels like, A, I'm interested in what she wants done. And then I try to follow through.
So you physically will ask her and you actually will verbalize, what are the 2 most important things that I can do for you today? Rather than, you're not trying to read her mind, but it may not be something that you talked about the day before. You start the day that way.
We both do that. So Marilyn asks the same thing of me. Is there anything I can do for you today that would be helpful to you? Ask her the same thing.
Does that mean, hey, listen, we're gonna paint this weekend. Can you stop by, the store at Sherwin-Williams and pick up the paint for us? Is it that? Or is it emotional things?
It's used for that. For this particular thing, it's not as much an emotional thing. We do have other rhythms that help us stay connected emotionally.
Yeah.
This is to make sure that we're working together well in our family, and what's important to Marilyn's important to me. And for me, it's a lot easier when she says, Brad, will you stop by Lowe's and pick this up on your way home from work? Yes, and I do it. Boom. Would you please spray for weeds tonight before it gets dark? It looks terrible, actually, yesterday. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just working together, and then animosity doesn't build up, because
that's where it goes from a problem being non-responsive to maybe nagging, right?
Yeah.
The next step is, boy, I've heard about this 3 days. Well, if you would have done it a week ago, you wouldn't have heard about it the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th time, right?
Yeah, I felt like Marilyn was nagging me about the microwave. But what if I just bought a microwave?
Never would. Yeah.
It might have fixed the problem.
Right.
But what happens is, a lot of times non-responsiveness leads to nagging, because I can't just ask him once. I've got to ask him 10 different times. And that's so frustrating. And it sends the message that what you desire of me is just not important. And what other people desire of me is more important. And when somebody sees you doing a lot for other people, a lot at work, a lot of that, and I can't get you to do anything to help me, it's not a good relational formula.
You mentioned that there are some people that you have known in your lifetime that were very generous, very philanthropic. They did so much for other people. I think pastors sometimes fall into this, that they are always shepherding the flock, that sometimes they forget about the 5 sheep that are at home, right? That they are pouring so much of themselves out into others that they don't do it for the others that are closest to them.
It's an interesting dynamic. Some of the most generous, servant-hearted people that do anything for me are very non-responsive to their spouse.
Why is that?
It's a good question. I think part of it is
Are they exhausted from what they did all day that they can't give any more?
I think that's part of it. And part of it is too that they feel significant, they feel useful, they feel important to others by doing things to others. And for some reason, husbands are usually more rude to their wife than anybody else in the world. Oftentimes they're less servant-hearted to their wife than anybody else in the world. And we flip that. I'm kinder to my wife and more servant-hearted toward my wife, anybody in the world. That flips the norm. That changes everything.
And we obviously sometimes hurt those that we love the most. And the things that we say or don't say can be very, very painful to them as well. How do you go about thinking about somebody else before we think about ourselves. I mean, from the time that we are babies, right? We need to be changed. We cry. We need to eat. We cry. We fall down. We skin our knee. We cry. When we're adults, it's the same kind of thing. There still is a very self-centered, egotistical part of us as human beings. How do you start to rewire your brain or your day or whatever to ask somebody else about them first?
Well, there's a passage in Philippians that says, consider the interest of others above your own. So if we're going on a date, how's Marilyn doing? What would she enjoy? Is she really tired? Might she enjoy checking out in a movie? Is she wanting to exercise today? Should we go on a long walk? Instead of thinking what I want, think what she wants. It's not what I feel needs to be done, because what's important to Marilyn oftentimes I don't even think needs to be done at all. So I'm doing things that I feel, if you just ask me personally, I think this is really unnecessary. But if I really want to love Marilyn, it means doing what she desires. It's because it's Marilyn.
And having a discussion about the worthiness of said project probably doesn't get you to where you want to go as a married couple.
I've had that discussion quite a few times, and I've yet to find one really that helpful. She hasn't yet said, Brett, you're right. That's unnecessary, and it's important to me, but it's not important, so I'm just going to lay it aside. Thank you for enlightening me with your wisdom. That hasn't happened yet.
Well, and it probably won't ever happen. But I also think that there are differences in terms of what people value and what people think is most important. How do you start to gain a sense of knowing that without asking? Because I think that really speaks. I mean, you hear people talk all the time about the 5 love languages, right? That people respond in different ways. That some people it's spending time with them. Some people it's physical touch. Sometimes it's words of affirmation. There are different ways that you can speak that to. How can you do it without them asking? Because if they don't have to ask, then you really have something that you feel like, you know what? You're not reading my mind, but you really know what's important to me.
Well, Gary Chapman's principle is very powerful that you referred to. It's you just really get to know each other. Like your wife, Jenny, you know her. She likes tea. She doesn't like coffee. You know what tea she likes. So if you're being intentional with marriage, you're getting to know Jenny better and better and better. So her likes, her preferences, what she doesn't like, nobody knows her like you. And as a result, nobody is more effective in loving her when they're intentional than you, because you know what to do.
Right.
You know what upsets her. You know what makes her happy. You know what she enjoys. You know what she doesn't enjoy. Other people really don't. So we miss a real opportunity in marriage if we really become students of our spouse and become an expert in their preferences, an expert in what they like to drink, what they like to eat. We can really bring God a ton of glory by putting beautiful love on display. The challenge is, most of us just get so busy in life and work and kids, we don't even pay attention to one another instead of love one another. Had one individual came in and told me, he said, I do everything for my wife. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Then I brought her in, and she sobbed and said, he doesn't love me. He never does anything for me. And she shared what he didn't do. And I told him, I said, dude, you're like hunting for deer in the Walmart parking lot. I said, you're doing a ton of stuff, but you're shooting arrows everywhere. But not even one of them is coming close to the overall target.
Right.
I said, here's the target. Start hitting,
Well, how could two people who live together and who are married come from such diabolically different ends of the spectrum? If he thinks he's doing all this and she thinks he's not doing anything at all, I mean, one or two of those arrows, even in the right neighborhood, doesn't even sound like they are.
No.
How's that possible?
Well, as Gary Chapman says in his book, we tend to love other people out of our own love language. So if, as a Gary Chapman say, like if we like quality time, we tend to offer quality time. We like gifts, we buy a bunch. People that love gifts buy a bunch of gifts.
Right.
People that love thoughtful gifts give the most thoughtful gifts. But if it's number 5, as Chapman would say on the love language list,
they were screaming for 4 other things they didn't get.
It's their last one, and you're backing up Amazon trucks, but all they want to do is hang with you.
Right.
You're hunting in a parking lot.
Right, because you don't spend the quality time with them that they really, really yearn for.
And my encouragement, especially to guys, is really listen to your wives. I've had so many tragic situations where men who thought they were in very stable marriages get left. And then they tell me, I don't know what happened a month ago. We were fine. But his wife was saying, could we spend more time together? Could we talk more? I feel like we're disconnected. And he just never registered because he thought things were fine. but she either quit complaining and gave up and lived in a quiet frustration, or kept complaining until she left. So being responsive to what your wife is saying is so important, and it's dangerous not to.
Are there classic warning signs that if you hear this, this is a red flag? Guys, if you hear this, you need to change.
If your wife says, we never spend time together, if your wife says, I don't feel connected to you, if this is a big warning sign when your wife just kind of goes silent.
If you're not saying something.
If your wife just kind of goes, like, she used to complain about spending time together, now she doesn't. She used to complain about connecting, now she doesn't. Nothing's changed in the marriage. The only thing that's changed is she's quit crying out. That may have meant she's just kind of feels hopeless in the marriage and just kind of give up. Well, why keep asking him if he's not going to respond anyway?
Right.
And oftentimes those frustrations will build under the surface over time, and the volcano looks as peaceful as can be.
And then it's Mount St. Helens.
And then it's Mount St. Helens.
And the top blows off.
And oftentimes there's no turning the train around.
So then what can we do to listen better? I mean, it's a difference between hearing and listening. I mean, we all know that hearing is the sound waves coming into your ear and it rattles around in your drum registers and it goes to your brain and you understand. Listening is completely different from hearing. How do we move from one to the other?
Well, one, you have to make time for one another. We always say time is a container in which a marriage grows. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have time for one another, with just the two of you, no cell phone, just the two of you connecting, no kids, no other couples, just the two of you, you really can't grow in connection, communication, enjoyment unless you have a container of time to do that within. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is make time for one another. So it's just the two of you. So you're really talking, you're really getting to know each other. And then while you're talking, just be intentional and try to hear what she's saying and think, how could I take that and take it into action? A real simple one that I mentioned in our book, The Grace Marriage, we were in the Nashville airport and Marilyn said, that lady's shoes, they're really cool. And I said, really? She says, yeah. Then Marilyn went somewhere and I walked over to that lady and said, look, I'm not weird or a creep, but where'd you get your shoes? And what brand are they? And I wrote it down. 3 days later, that same pair of shoes in Marilyn's size showed up at the door. And she's like, it took me 5 minutes.
Right.
Unfortunately, they were expensive.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish the lady bought cheaper shoes.
Yeah.
But other than the cost, it was Marilyn was blown away.
Because you went way out of your way to find out what they were, to do something about it. She didn't have to do that. It showed that you were thinking about her. It showed that she mattered.
And it took me maybe 90 seconds.
Right.
And the thing is, having a really cool marriage isn't that hard. It's making time, having fun together, listening, and trying to creatively love one another and try to, outdo one another in honor. And when you have that type of marriage, it brings glory to God. 'Cause people see it like, that's pretty cool. I mean, that looks fun. That's beautiful. That's sacrificial. That's creative. That's loving. We say, hey, you're describing a lot of characteristics of my God.
I'm going to give you a true, false question on a quiz right now. All right. You have to respond true or false. It's been said that frequency leads to more intimacy, not necessarily from a sexual standpoint, but in terms of a relationship, that frequency, the more often you do something, it leads true or false?
True.
Always? I mean, do you feel that is across the board true?
Well, if somebody's toxic and they can't talk, I mean, literally any little thing just blows up into a fight.
Right.
And you say, okay, we're going to force you to spend 2 hours a night together. All it's going to be is it's going to be
2 hours of fighting.
2 hours of
right.
Fighting. Assuming you've developed listening skills, communication skills, conflict management skills. True.
Right.
If you're the fool that loves their own opinions, according to the Proverbs, if you're harsh, you're not a good listener, you're not a safe place.
Right.
No, more time together won't necessarily help. But if you don't have those really difficult things about your marriage and you spend time together, yes. I mean, if Meryl and I go any period of time without spending much time together, we start feeling a distance between one another. Mm-hmm. We start feeling like two people in the same house just trying to get everything done. So we have to take time where it's just the two of us developing intimacy, not just the physical.
And busyness is another one of those things that can rob that intimacy as well, right? I mean, the folly of being busy, it can lead to so many other downfalls.
Well, it's the prioritization of productivity over relationship. because we're going to die with the list. And there's always more to do than we have time to do it. So if you're trying to get everything in order to have time for one another, good luck. Couples that try to find time together never find time together. Couples that time block and say, we're going to schedule our life around our marriage, not our marriage around our life, they thrive. In the couples that say we're still trying to find time, I said, I got a clue for you. You'll never find it.
So when you said that you and Marilyn, your date night was Tuesday for a long time, and then kids come along and you kind of move it, it's really easy if it's every single Tuesday from 7 until 9, no questions asked. We're not going to be here. Kids, you got to figure it out yourself when they're old enough. As opposed to, well, the kids come along, now it might be Thursday and it might be the following Friday. So now we're on to an 8-day cycle or a 10-day cycle because it's not always on Tuesday.
Yeah, and it is simpler when you can always pick one day and do it every week. However, for us now, we don't do that, but we do it every single week. I've heard, I think in the book Atomic Habits, it says it's easier to do something 100% of the time than 90% of the time. And we've decided 100% of weeks, we're going to spend at least 3 to 4 hours, just the two of us. Now, may that be on our back deck? May that be walking by the river? May that be all kinds of different things? Yes, but we know we can't have a great marriage unless we spend time just the two of us. You can't have a close walk with God and spend no time with God. You can't have a close relationship with your spouse and live a busy, chaotic life with little time together.
And sometimes we think more about something that one of our golf partners would think is fun or funny, and we send that to them in a message, and we would never take the time to do the same thing to send to our wife.
And the neat thing is, so early in our marriage, something cool would happen. If I was very close to my dad, very close to my brother, they were law partners, very close to friends, I would talk to them a lot. A lot more than I did Marilyn. And frankly, I probably would enjoy doing things with them more than I enjoyed doing with Marilyn. Now, when I started spending time with Marilyn, talking to Marilyn, it quickly transitioned that I would way rather spend time with Marilyn than anybody else.
Yeah.
But it's
even family.
But even family. But it's where I started putting my time, and you'll find the more time you put toward one another, the more affection it gets, the more you know each other, the closer you feel, and the more time you want to spend together. A good way to not want to spend time together,
Don't spend time
together.
Yeah.
And a good way to want to spend time together, do it a lot. Like, I look forward to spending time with Marilyn each week. It's not like, oh, great, here's our date night to check off the list. I've got to spend time with Marilyn. No, it's who I want to be with.
So before we go, let's just recap some of those warning signs that if you hear these words coming from your wife's mouth, you need to be, heads up and paying attention. Just to recap that, what are the things you really need to listen for?
I wish we talked more. I wish we felt more connected. I wish we spent more time together. Or, like one of the signs I mentioned was when the complaints stop. When the marriage hasn't changed, but the complaints have stopped. Because you don't want your spouse living in a frustrated resignation, feeling like there's no hope.
Just trying to give you some more pieces of information so that you can make better decisions, that you can live a marriage that is more along the lines of what God has designed it to be. Grace Marriage and gracemarriage.com has a lot more resources too. Check out the website. You want to see that. It's another way that you can learn much more about what's going on. And we will see you next week on the podcast with Grace Marriage.
Thank you for joining us on the Grace Marriage Podcast. We really hope you're feeling inspired to take intentional steps to grow in your marriage.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us spread the message of grace and reach even more couples.
And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps others discover the podcast.
To learn more about how you can grow in your marriage, visit us at gracemarriage.com. Keep building stronger, grace-filled marriages.
We'll see you next week on the Grace Marriage Podcast. Until then, keep growing in grace.